Hey, what's up, y'all? Classic Kev back with another episode. Honestly, probably the most important episode yet. All right, y'all. Before I get started, just want to say, y'all, this is not the episode I wanted to make, and y'all, the situation in Ukraine, it's not looking good. You know, I can admit when I'm wrong. I never would have thought that we would see an armed conflict to this level at this stage in civilization, guys. Because I think we can all admit, no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, that we should be above armed conflict, right? We should know that in war there are no winners. It's just losers, and us as civilians, we're really just like collateral damage. And I think as a society, you know, a civilization, you know, no matter what side the aisle, what your race, color, or creed is, like, we got to do better. And the situation there, y'all, I mean, I think I speak for anybody. I think I speak for the majority of Ukraine citizens. I think I speak for the majority of Russian citizens. And I think I speak for the majority of American citizens that we don't want this war. No one wants this. And obviously this is bigger than the markets. But, you know, we have to ask ourselves is, why do we have no say-so? You know, if the majority of the citizens don't want this, why do these power-hungry, corrupt governments get to dictate our lives? Why do these central banks get to impose their will on us, like what's happening in Canada, you know, the freezing of bank accounts? I mean, this is madness, y'all. And to give you a little glimpse of how terrifying it is over there, I want to play this quick clip before we get started. Yeah, y'all, simply horrifying. And, you know, I couldn't even imagine having to go through that right now. And, you know, just pray for the citizens of Ukraine, pray for the world, y'all, because a lot's going on right now. Now, Biden did come out and he did issue some, you know, harsh sanctions on Russia. And what was weird is, you know, he imposed these sanctions and Bitcoin actually jumped. So what it says here in this article, guys, is that the U.S. will block 5 of the biggest Russian banks and freeze all assets they hold in America worth over $1 trillion. President Joe Biden said in a press conference Thursday. Guys, also the U.K. Prime Minister Boris Johnson imposed similar sanctions earlier Thursday, freezing all assets of all major Russian banks and cutting them off from the UK's financial markets, according to the AP. The Prime Minister also seeks to bar Russian companies and the Russian government from raising money on UK markets, to measure Biden echoed in his press conference. So I think what we're seeing, guys, is that, you know, obviously most countries, most developed nations, we really can't afford to go to war because, again, there's no winners in a war. It's just a waste of money and just really tragic on civilization. So I think they're thinking by imposing these economic sanctions that Russia will back off. Well, here's where the problem might be, because, you know, at what point does Ukraine have a right to fight for their sovereignty, right? You know, do they have a right to fight this? Do they have a say-so? Does their army, does their civilians have a right to fight? So look at this article, guys. 500,000 Bitcoin donations flow to Ukraine as Russia invades. Now, what the people of Canada have recently learned, or if you saw what happened with the invasion of Afghanistan, where, you know, civilians had to flee their country, you know. So when you flee your country, what you think happens to the banks there? It's all gone, right? Anything centralized is all gone. So look at this, ATMs throughout Ukraine. Don't wait until a day like this where you live. It can happen anywhere. So look at all the people who, you know, even with FDI insurance, guys, if everyone in your town, even if you live in the smallest town, if everyone in your town wanted to go to the bank at the same time and take their money out, the money ain't there, guys. We're operating on a derivative and a trust system. And it's getting to the point where we can't trust our central banks. We can't trust our central governments. I'm not saying everyone in government or everyone in banking is bad. I'm just saying these legacy institutions are not to be trusted, and that's all roads lead to Bitcoin, right? If these people had Bitcoin, if we had a system set up where we can be on a completely decentralized system, that these people wouldn't have to be by these ATMs like this, guys, because they'd be able to go anywhere and get their money, right? Because Bitcoin is a universal currency. It's the world's currency. It's the people's money, guys. I'm not saying Bitcoin's perfect, but the centralized fiat system is not perfect. So I think what one thing that's going to echo out of all of this is people are going to want to get their money out of fiat. And I'm not saying they have to buy into Bitcoin, because obviously I can't give financial advice, but I think people are seeing that having money in cash in any kind of fiat system, it's being devalued, right? So now look at this article. The New York Times said, guys, Russia could use cryptocurrency to blunt force the U.S. sanctions. So here's what that means. So like, let's use like say oil. Oil is traded in dollars because the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency, right? So that's kind of what, when the United States can implement sanctions, it's because you have to trade in the dollar. Well, what if Russia decides they just want to trade in Bitcoin? Russia's already come out and said that they own about 10% of the total crypto market. So we can implement these economic sanctions, but really, again, all roads lead to Bitcoin. It's just going to start a new financial race, almost like a space race where not just, we've already seen institutions like Tesla and MicroStrategy buy Bitcoin. Well, now we're going to see, we've already seen nation states like El Salvador, but now imagine when Russia comes out and they're buying more and more. So this is definitely something we're going to want to watch if Russia comes out and makes a big Bitcoin investment, because, somebody's got to blink. Either the sanctions have to work and Russia has to pull out, or Russia's going to keep doing what they're doing and the sanctions are going to get worse. If the sanctions get worse, Russia's going to need a backup plan. I'm thinking that crypto's the backup plan. I'm really not sure, guys, because I didn't think that they were going to invade. Now, this was interesting, guys. Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, he's actually, he lives in Russia. He's a Russian native, and what he said this was, glory to Ukraine. Russian-born Ethereum creator Vitalik Buterin says he's very upset by Putin's decision. Now, I'm not saying that Putin, I can assure you one thing, Putin knows who Vitalik Buterin is, and I'm not saying that he listens to him or anything, but I think that his words echo a lot, because he's one of the richest people in the world. He's one of the most influential people in the world, and I do like to see that people are standing up and saying what's right. And what we didn't see that happen is, say like the NBA with China, we didn't see enough people stand up to the atrocities, the human rights violations that were happening in China. So I really am glad as an Ethereum investor to see Vitalik Buterin actually stand up to this and say what is right. Now, so if you're worried, again, guys, I'm not a political expert. I'm not a geopolitical expert. I'm not even a crypto expert. I don't even know why you're watching this right now, right? But seriously, so I think the problem with all of this is caused, and obviously global conflict and war are bad for markets, right? It's bad for society. It's bad. There's no good. Well, it's the domino effect that follows from this, because look at this article, guys. Taiwan warns Chinese aircraft in its air defense zone. So it's been rumored that China wants to invade Taiwan. And guys, if you don't know, there's a lot of strategic reasons why China would want to take over Taiwan, because, they look at it like, why not? Who's going to stop them? Are we going to stop them? If we let Russia do this, what can we even fund a war right now? And in order to, even if we wanted to just have a proxy war where we fund the Ukrainian army, we'd have to print money. If we print money, it creates more inflation, and more inflation equals a higher Bitcoin price. Again, guys, all roads lead to Bitcoin. It's crazy to see it like this, but our governments and our fiat systems, they're almost forcing our hand. They're creating the mass adoption. I mean, look what happened in Canada, y'all. All those citizens just found out overnight their bank accounts were frozen. Some of them, it wasn't even warranted. I mean, one lady donated like $50 to GoFundMe and supporting the trucker convoy. She didn't do anything wrong. GoFundMe, it was a legal protest. They weren't doing anything wrong. They froze her whole bank account. Guys, that's not right. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, what side of the whole trucker debate, I'm really not interested in debating that. I just want to, show what is right and what is wrong. And as a society, we have to do better. And I really do think that the Web3 technology is the change we want to see in the world. Now, again, guys, there's another article. British leaders order asset freeze for all Russian banks. So any of the countries, that are part of the NATO alliance, it looks like they're all going to kind of implement these economic sanctions to avoid an armed conflict. But again, guys, if the economic sanctions don't work, then at what point does it become an armed conflict? That I don't know. Now, for us, stuff we have to be worried about, guys, look at this Homeland Security article. Homeland Security warns of Russian cyber threats to U.S. organizations. Now, this would be a new type of war that we're probably not used to, and it's the use of cyber attacks, right? Because cyber attacks are anonymous in theory, but it's kind of like we know it's almost like a new form of a proxy war. Now, if you're not familiar with large-scale cyber attacks, I'll tell you this, I live in New Orleans, and not too long ago, I don't even know if they found out who it was, a cyber attack did hit the city, took the entire city offline. Guys, I'm serious, like, any government building, everything was offline for an extended period of time. It was kind of like third world like to watch, to witness, So this is something we want to be worried about, because as crypto investors, cyber attack, not good. Not good, because we understand that the blockchain is immutable ledger and the blockchain hasn't been hacked, but it's not that the blockchain gets hacked. It's that the Web 2 websites, such as like a Coinbase, the exchanges, if a cyber attack affected those would be dramatically bad for crypto. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the sanctions. Now, we did see the Bitcoin price action kind of rebound a little bit. Maybe the markets overreacted to the Ukraine news. Maybe it's just going to be a little bit trading sideways, a little up, a little down, guys. I really don't know. At this point, any YouTuber giving price predictions, guys, they're out of their mind, because no one knows. Now, I would say that, I did a video before where I talked about this conflict, and I talked about the threat of it becoming a World War III like scenario. And again, guys, I'm not saying this to scare you. This isn't fear porn. And to be honest with you, I did buy some stuff today. It wasn't crypto. I went to the grocery, y'all, and I said, you know what? I cleared out some of my shelves. I had some old canned foods, different items that were pretty much expired that I bought during the pandemic. So I went to the grocery guy. I stocked up on some perishable, storable foods, canned foods and stuff, a case of water, and I put it all in a Tupperware container. And what I'm going to do is, because I do think we're going to have supply chain issues in this country. I do think we're going to be dealing with, I think it's going to be a rocky road, y'all. And look, if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. I hope everything's fine. I hope world peace gets declared tomorrow. And in a year and a half, 2 years before this food goes bad, I'll go donate it to the local homeless shelter. I put it in a giant Tupperware container. It's sitting in my closet where, I'd say I got about 6 months to maybe even a year worth of different storable foods, but I just added to my collection today. So I didn't buy any cryptos because I don't know if we reach max pain yet. I truly don't know. So again, guys, I have auto buy set up where I do buy $50 of Bitcoin, $50 of Ethereum automatically. But that's it. I didn't make any large purchases today or really in the last week or so because the market has just been so crazy. So I wanted to talk about one of the sanctions that went on, and what the United States is trying to do is remove Russia from the SWIFT banking system. And the SWIFT system, I don't know much about it, guys, but I guess it would be described as one of the legacy systems. So I found this awesome Twitter thread that'll kind of describe what we're doing to them and how this could affect them. And again, guys, think of this through I don't want to say the enemy, but through Putin's eyes, right? Think of what will Putin do? Because again, all roads lead to Bitcoin. Now, here's what the tweet says, guys. With the rapid deterioration of the Russia-Ukraine situation, you're going to hear a lot about SWIFT in the coming days. Here's a quick breakdown of what it is and why it matters. SWIFT is short for the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. It's a global cooperative of financial institutions based in Belgium. It was formed in 1973 when 239 banks from 15 countries came together and established a way to handle cross-border payments. Today, SWIFT connects more than 11,000 financial institutions across 200 plus countries. Think of it like a simple email system enabling secure messages across its members. An average of 40 million messages a day, including orders, payment, confirmation, FX exchanges, and trades. SWIFT doesn't actually do any transfer to holding of funds, but it is a critical part of communication infrastructure that enables cross-border money flows. It is a key part of global financial systems plumbing, if you will. So why is it in the spotlight now? While not a political organization, it's important to, kind of sounds like a political organization, right? If you're cutting Russia off of it, not saying that's right or wrong, but it kind of sounds like a political organization. But anyway, while not a political organization, importance to the global flows means SWIFT is often looked at as a geopolitical tool as part of sanctions packages. Cutting off a nation's banks from SWIFT access restricts flow into and out of a nation, resulting in real economic pain. This happened in 2012 when sanction packages on Iran in retaliation for its nuclear program. It was looked at in 2013-2014 in response to Russia's action in Crimea. Cutting off SWIFT access is viewed as a very significant move, so the consideration alone is material. With Russia's most recent action in Ukraine, cutting off SWIFT access is very much on the table as part of a sweeping sanction package. The challenge is that a real double-edged sword is Russia is a massive economy with tentacles that reach all around the world. It is a key energy supplier to Europe and the world. It is an exporter of materials critical to the manufacturers of jet engines, semiconductors, automotives, electronics, and fertilizers. Guys, this is important because we're seeing with inflation, we're seeing that used car prices already going up. So we're going to see, just by default, we're going to see inflation across all goods because of this conflict. Cutting off Russia from SWIFT would impact the flow of payments for these industries. Russia has also been building in-house systems since 2014. The last time SWIFT cutoff was threatened, which means they were able to temper some of the impact the cutoff would have on its economy. So it's almost like they kind of been planning for, if you know what weapon the enemy is going to use against you, you kind of plan around it. Though it appears most experts still expect the impact would be significant, a cutoff from SWIFT may also have longer-term second-order effects on Bitcoin and non-fiat currencies. The basic logic: Russia may seek to circumvent the impact of the restrictions via a combination of its in-house system and a push away from the U.S. dollar reserve currency. Guys, when you go away from that, I don't say this happily, but when you go away or you change from a reserve currency, usually in the history of time, war follows. You can look it up. Whenever there's a major currency change, it involves a massive global conflict. Whatever happens in the coming days, there will be a lot of talk about SWIFT and its role and response in Russia actions. I hope this short thread makes you feel more knowledgeable on the subject. So guys, definitely give this guy a follow. I thought this was a well written out piece to give us a little idea of what the sanctions can do, and it looks like Russia was already kind of prepared. So I hope they pull out, guys. I hope they reach some type of agreement, some type of a settlement, and I don't know if the economic sanctions will be enough. And I know that this country, nobody wants to go to war. I don't think we're scared of Russia, but Russia is a global superpower. They are allied with China. They do have similar interests, I believe. But as far as the global crypto markets are concerned, in a messed up way, guys, war is kind of good for crypto, because war, it really highlights why we need crypto and why we need to move away from these centralized systems. Because again, guys, if any point I make is that I close on this, is that the United States citizens, the majority of them do not want war. The majority of Ukraine doesn't want war. The majority of Russia doesn't want war. The majority of Canada doesn't want this. So why are we doing this? Right? Because the power is held by a central few elite. That is the issue. That is not a conspiracy. That is not, this is just fact. And guys, I want the Web3 community, I want us to be the change. I want this technology to be in the hands of good people, and that we can be the change we want to see in the world. Anyway, y'all, I'm Classic Kev. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. Put me a 100 in the comments. Anyway, y'all, I'm Classic Kev. I'm out. Peace.